The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's live. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the goals cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. They ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm a bow wow, you can hear it from the pros. It's Haymaker Combat Sports, time to roll.
Welcome back, Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. I am your host, EJ Reed, joined by my fellow host, Steve Johnson, Chris Sanders. What's good, fellas?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Another lovely Sunday. The summer is not coming to a close, but, you know, school's about to be back in session. Any fun plans for the rest of the summer, Chris?
No, nothing. Just probably trying to hit the beach a few more times and, you know, just chill out before the fall gets here.
Yeah. What beach you usually go out there? You out there in the West Coast and whatnot?
I live 3 minutes away from the beach. I live in Long Beach. I'm like 2 streets away. So I go to the beach almost every other day to walk and chill, but not really go swimming and hang out there. But
yeah, I see you be on the grill too, man. Life's good out there, man. Life's good out there for you.
Yeah, I can't complain. I'm 2 streets away from the beach, grilling on set. Got a pool, jacuzzi at the apartment. I'm doing all right. Can't complain. No complaints here.
That's what's up. Steve, you got any plans for the rest of the summer? Or just hanging out, or?
Yeah, probably go somewhere before my kids go to school and stuff. So I haven't for real done that yet, so I got to get that done. But other than that, nothing.
Yeah, football's around the corner. Hopefully, me and Chris's Cowboys could do something this year. I don't know. Man, come on, man. You gotta have some faith. Even though I'm a pessimist when it comes to the Cowboys, they've been letting me down since the '90s. But I don't know. You still gotta have faith, my brother.
Just enjoy the year, man. Just have a good, this joy tailgate and stuff like that.
We'll see. But fellas, let's talk a story outside of the ring. Seems like this guy keeps getting in the news. We talked about last time he got arrested for vandalism, and if y'all don't know by now, I'm talking about Ryan Garcia. But since we did our last boxing show, he got a little bit of trouble. Me and Steve talked about it a little bit. I hadn't really got to talk to Chris about it. He went on this rant on Twitter, and just so you could get the effect, I'm going to give you the uncensored version to get you the effect. He went on Twitter and said, this was I want to get the exact date. So this was back in July 5th. So he went on Twitter and said, I hate niggers. Hey, let's bring George Floyd back to life and kill that nigga again on X. So with this latest rant, I just done with this guy now. Does he need to go get help? Because like when I saw that made me upset, man.
It don't make me upset. This looks like the man's crying for attention and maybe needs some help. I don't know him personally. I never met him. But this seems like things are not going his way anyway. Isn't he suspended? If I'm not mistaken, he's suspended. Yeah. He can't fight for I don't know, a year and a half.
Yeah, he's gone for a year. Yep.
You know, so he's suspended. He's already flirted with the mental health. We don't know if it's an act or not. We don't know what's real and what's not no more. But if he does need help, I hope that he can get it because he's showing us a lot of like weird behavior. You know, what he doesn't anger me. I just hope he gets the right help that he needs because something doesn't look right over there.
So before I get your thoughts, Steve, Chris, you think it's a cry for help, or you think he's really got some mental health issues going on?
And even when everything for the last, I would say, after the Tank fight, you started noticing Ryan a little weird, just different, just like what is he doing? You're always questioning his actions. Again, I'm not upset with him for his comments he made because again, I don't know where it comes from. I don't even know if he knows what he even wrote that night when he wrote it. If he was drugged up or what, under influence of any type of alcohol or drugs or etc. I don't know. But it don't seem, or he seems when I've seen him prior to 2 years ago, he seemed like he understand. He was very, he know what he's talking about, can hold a conversation. Now, even when you see him in public, he just says the wildest thing. I don't know if it's for a reaction. I don't know what he's trying to gain by it. Again, I don't know him personally, but it don't look right. Something ain't right over there.
Steve, what do you think?
I think I've seen, you kind of, walking in melanated skin, you can see angles and stuff. And for what I see is for somebody in their dad, which the Gervonta fight in the interview, I think, or the pre-conference, I remember his dad said something racist. I'm like, ain't no way.
Yeah,
pick up none of that. And his dad's saying that today, right now.
I think he's talking about nappy hair and stuff like that.
Something like that. It was like a little slip up, and then it's almost like they're trying to tell the dad to calm down. Like, hey man, this is boxing, but that looks nasty on our persona. And I now that he said this, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see he probably said that. That's what they say. Probably talk about at the dinner table. So I think it was messed up. He did that. I know he hangs around black folks. He has clips with him, even probably lets him say the nigga NIGGA, but that all ER is just, I think, not to get too, but I think people that come over here in this country do not have a historical background of knowing, like, you just can't say that word and just not get a reaction publicly. I think it's very stupid, and he's probably been boxing young and been rich most of his life. So sort of like a kid who has money and doesn't respect things, I guess. We went to school with people like that. They just were not down to earth to know social issues, and he basically very ignorant to think that he's not going to get repercussions for that. If it's not in his job, you're not going to be liked amongst a lot of fans.
Yeah, and
another thing,
go ahead.
how can you go? I think all children are first, but how you go save the children but kill the niggas? I don't understand it. That don't make sense.
That's a fair point. And going back to what Chris was saying, like he said he thinks he needs to get help if he was on drugs or alcohol. I don't think that gives you an excuse, because like then anybody can just get fucked up and say whatever they want. But I do agree, if he has mental issues, then can't really hold it too much against him if he's got mental issues and he doesn't know what he's saying. But I don't give the drug and alcohol excuse, because you could be on that stuff, you still got to get messed up for what you said. Like nobody's gonna punch you in the face, but somebody might break out that tool if you say something reckless like that.
That's a fact. No, that's a fact. No, he got to watch his mouth, and I'm not the one to monitor his mouth and things of that nature. What I meant by it was like he just been showing so much behavior that's just off to me. And the whole camp has, even from when he was signed with De La Hoya, De La Hoya was acting weird around. They was all acting weird. It just was a weird moment for like 2 years, like just watching them in their camp just move. So I don't know what's really going on over there. It didn't really, like I said, it didn't really affect me because who it came from. I don't take what he says by, like he's gonna end up apologizing and whatever about it, and people gonna move on from it. So I don't want to really stick on too much, but yeah, you got to be careful when you say stuff like that, especially like him. He's a public figure. He hangs around people that are a certain race that, I'm sure, I hope they go and check him for that, the people in this camp. But again, that's neither here nor there. We're not going to be talking about Ryan besides things like this, because he's not fighting anytime soon.
So you also talked about him being banned for a year. I think he'll be able to come back the first quarter, maybe the early second quarter of next year. You think he actually fights when he comes eligible to fight, or you think he just is gonna have to work on himself and or he'll be playing around where he doesn't even nobody takes him seriously and gives him a fight? Y'all think he'll bounce back from this next year?
Well, yeah, if he keeps doing acts like this and making things, this is making him relevant. This is making, even if he says wild things, people get angry, get upset, want to see him lose, or even if fans like him, they want to see him fight. So it's not like he's messing up his. I mean, if anything, he's keeping himself relevant, but I just don't like the way he's doing it. But he's keeping himself in the picture by saying that. I think he's still working out. He doesn't look like he's gaining weight or anything. He still looks slim. He still looks like he's in shape. In that standpoint. But yeah, he's still gonna sell a fight. I think he regardless of whatever happens to him, he got 3 more fights left, just on his own. And if he works out and he's winning those fights, he got more after that. But he's guaranteed, in my eyes, 3 more fights, regardless of whatever happens. If he loses all 3 of them, he's getting 3 more fights, big ones, just because of who he is.
What do you think, Steve?
Well, if he doesn't like black folks now, shit, he's about to be what do you call it in Spanish? The negrito list, or the nigga list, basically. He's about to turn black. After this, he might not get a fight. People might blacklist him, blackball him, and treat him funny. I think it would be hilarious if they did that to him.
I don't know. I can't give him the age excuse at this point either. He's 26 now, so.
Right. So we ain't saying no crazy shit like that. I'm saying y'all formidable men. I'm pretty sure y'all weren't stupid running around saying crazy shit at 26.
Yeah, so he can't use the young guy excuse anymore. He's a grown man. Got to get his shit together, man. Or we've seen people lose it. Like, I know you're an AB fan, Chris, but like he was saying wild stuff, and he's not the AB he was like 10 years ago. Kept saying wild stuff, and people see him as like a social media star more so than a Boston star nowadays.
And that's what Ryan is. To me, Ryan is a social media star. I mean, he showed all those amazing clips when we got to see him come up, and everybody was like, "Oh, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy?" And that's what kind of got him up there, So he's using the platform how he knows how to use it, and now he's come to this wall. I feel where he's just using it in the wrong way, in my opinion. But hey, we're talking about him, so I guess it's working because he's not relevant. He can't fight for a year, and we're still talking about him. So he's doing something right.
And I get you saying that he's a social media star because he definitely is. But I feel like with AB, like he wasn't backed it up in the ring. Ryan just beat somebody on the pound for pound list, albeit by some questionable means because he popped, but he still beat a pound for pound. So the skills are still there, and you just don't want to see somebody throw their career out when they have the skills to back up the social media presence,
Yeah, but that's the thing. He beat him, but now he's banned from that win for a year. How you gotta make it so relevant still? Like you gotta still be around the picture. I don't like the way he's going about it, but you gotta still stay relevant in the picture. This game, they'll forget about you quick. After 2 losses, it's like who's that?
Oh yeah, for sure. He definitely need to get it together, and he has a year to think about it. So we'll see what happens with him. But fellas, we got a lot of boxing to talk about since our last boxing show. So let's get into that with the quick hits. And I'm gonna get the unconventional boxing matches out of the way first because you had some crossover fights that happened since we last talked. So I'll start off with this one. 2 guys that Steve are familiar with. Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal had a boxing match a few weeks back, and I don't know. These guys might need to stick to the day job. George Masvidal, he didn't look good at all. Nate Diaz, he looked decent. It was a back and forth. It went the distance, and Nate Diaz got the nod. And what were your thoughts on this one, Steve, when you watched this fight?
Well, when I watched it, it looked like Nate Diaz having a good day, inside the octagon. He has his good moments where he's landing, but usually he's literally scaling the person the whole fight to rock somebody. This fight, you can tell he just trained boxing, and he was actually doing a good job for his weird style. Like he has a style to where he some punches he keeps his face open, sacrifices. This one, I'll move my head. He's kind of on and off in defense, and I think that's his style. But Jorge Masvidal, very gun shy. I think he should have went and threw more flurries of punches for his speed, because Nate wasn't near as quick as him, and it was I wouldn't say it was a dud, because I was kind of happy Nate was getting away with some boxing, although it's not the beautifulest. It's he has his own style to where he gets away with certain things, and I was just happy Nate won.
It was interesting, at least. What do you think about this one, Chris?
Well, it was good to watch, for entertaining, to see them in a different arena fight each other, bringing that in. When I'm watching it, I'm watching two elite fighters fight in boxing, a sport probably they never fought in like that. As I'm seeing them going through the motion and going through everything, I'm seeing Nate mostly dominate the fight. But what's really interesting about it is, like, did they ever fight? They fought in the UFC?
Yeah, and Jorge Masvidal beat him by doctor stoppage, like after the third round.
And that's what I figured, because it didn't seem like either of them were that comfortable in a boxing ring. And I've seen them both fight UFC, and they let it go. And they be letting things go. They let the hands go. They're both not the best defensive fighters. They're like kind of a juggernaut. I see them. They go forward. They fight. And I don't know what I was expecting to see, something like that in a boxing ring. More of them like slugging it out, fighting it out to the toe. They both got knockout power. So I was like, oh, maybe one of them would knock each other out like that. But it seemed like it wasn't the type of fight I was going to think that was going to transition from the UFC to the boxing. It was just totally different from what I had.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like they kind of look like fish out of water a little bit. Like they weren't the most comfortable in that boxing ring. And, and I heard the fight didn't sell well. I don't know if we talked about this on the MMA show, Steve. They didn't pay Nate Diaz his money. I think we did talk about that. They didn't pay him his money. They only paid. They owe him $10 million. They only paid him $1 million of it.
Really?
Yes, he had to take them so Nate has to take them to court. Wow. It was like a startup promotion, and like they expected to get like their money on the backside with the pay-per-view buys, but nobody bought the fight. They got out.
Did you see
somehow? Go ahead, Steve.
Did you see when Masvidal tried to start shit when he lost? Like, he was butthurt. He lost, and he was about to get rowdy after it, but they calmed him down.
I missed that part. What happened with that?
Oh, he was about to run at Nate's team in the ring, and you know how Masvidal does, and Nate Diaz. I think they had altercations before, but they settled it down during the build-up. But he tried to get upset, but they calmed him down. They say, "No, you're not doing this here."
And it's all theatrics because they want to try to sell another fight. But I doubt he was going to do anything. If he was that mad, why didn't he fight him mad?
Right. That's what I said.
You had the chance to do that in the ring, man. So yeah, go sit down somewhere. But in Nate Diaz fashion, like always, he called out Jake Paul again, the guy we're gonna talk about next. Yeah, you think Nate might get that fight again? I'll start for you, Steve.
Yeah, I think so, because I don't think, hey, he beat his fight he just got done with. He beat Mike Perry. I think that's a good fight to do, because he was actually, if I can remember, he was doing all right for fighting Jake Paul. And I think if people underestimate Nate, the skinny, Conor McGregor called him the skinny fat dude, but he has a good 1-2, and if he catches you at the end of it, he's rocked Leon Edwards and MMA, a few other people. And I think that is his bread and butter. He was trying to get off at Jorge Masvidal the whole fight. It just didn't land the way he wants to. I think that's Nate Diaz's bread and butter, and that's what he relies on, that 1-2 straight.
Yeah. So you would. So I guess you would be interested. What do you say, Chris? You be interested in seeing him go against Paul again?
Yeah, why not? I mean, that's what Jake Paul's for. That's what we want to see him do. I don't want to see him go against Canelo or nothing, but against these other guys, I think it's fair game for Jake. And he's selling. If I'm not mistaken, Jake is selling tickets, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't hear no problems over there. So he don't have that issue when he's only getting 1 million for 10 million. He's like, yo, I need to get the real money up front up now. So I don't see a problem for it. Who I know Jake Paul just won his last match, but who is there for Jake to fight anyway right now?
Well, I guess we'll get into that once we talk about this fight. Let's just get into that right now. Jake Paul versus Iron. Is it Iron Mike Perry? I think it is Iron Mike Perry. This is his ring name. This happened back on the 20th. And Jake, I think he weighed in at 200, and I think Mike Perry came in a little bit underneath that. But Mike Perry in MMA fights at welterweight, which is 170, which is the equivalent of almost light heavyweight in boxing. It's in between super middleweight and light heavyweight. And Jake Paul is a natural cruiserweight. And this fight, he just looked bigger than him. He just was overwhelming Mike Perry. And Mike Perry's output looked slow, like he was getting tired. And then Jake Paul got him out of there in the 6th round in a dominant win. And what was your thoughts on this one, Chris?
This is what I thought it was. Jake looked bigger than him, looked like he was timing him better, had him against the room. Now, Perry was out there fighting, though. I'm not going to lie. Like, I didn't see him fight back. Like, he was in there fighting back. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. But, he just overwhelmed. Jake looked really, like I always say about him, he looks bigger than a lot of his fighters. Looks way bigger than, I don't know if they're picking fights like that, but I haven't really seen him in there where he's the smaller guy or like he has someone that's kind of even weight with him. It don't feel like these people are actual even weight. And when I say even weight, these gentlemen fought in different weight classes lower than what they fight at when they're heavier. So it's new to them when they fight in a heavier weight class. Just picking on that power, picking on that weight on top of them as well. It's totally different.
And to correct myself, I said Iron Mike Perry. It's Platinum Mike Perry. Iron Michael Chandler is what I was mixing it up with. But what were your thoughts on this one, Steve?
Jake Paul, I mean, he did what he does. He's been doing it longer, of course. I expected a more of a fight, but Platinum Mike Perry, I think he fought like this in MMA. Like he keeps his head up and doesn't go off a swivel or too much leg movement or head movement. He was just having his head straight up, and I saw that coming. I think he had a knockdown before he got the KO, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's like he just reminds me. Style is not exactly like it, but he reminds me of those Irish and English people. They fight like this. He's walking forward, like he doesn't move his head. I think, but it was entertaining for what it is, and it actually, Jake Paul needs to actually, either say what he wants to do and cross over, or just stick in the parameters of hell. You already had a 12-rounder or 10-rounder, whatever, the full fight with Nate Diaz. I mean, that's your caliber. You didn't even take out Nate Diaz. If people think you're a boxer, you should be able to do that. Plus, I know it's different styles. Nate Diaz, we can look at it and say, oh man, he can't box. Like, what is he doing? But I know in boxing, there's certain little subtle things that give people problems. And I know, of course, probably Nate knows a couple of those things, just to be a difficult asshole boxer, if that makes sense. Just agitate somebody. And I think he does that well, the way he boxes.
So yeah, Chris also asked a little bit a while ago, what's next for Jake Paul? I don't want to see him face like a Nate Diaz or any of these MMA guys. I want to see him get back to the boxing. He says he wants to win a title in 2025 or 2026. He wants to win a cruiserweight title. Time to start fighting some boxers. And I'm not like one of those guys that was like, wait till he faces a real boxer, he's gonna get messed up. I'm kind of interested to see him try to climb up the ranks and fight some boxers. So if you do kind of go back to like not the circus fight, but like if I want to see him do a rematch, I would like to see him do a rematch against Tommy Fury first before doing it against an MMA guy. But if he's gonna start trying to get the title, he's got to fight at least somebody in the top 25 in the cruiserweight division to see what he has. So I would like to see that. What are your thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Chris.
Is he considered a pro boxer?
Yeah, he's been pro for a while. Yeah.
So I'm confused. Do these fights count as pro
Yeah,
boxing matches?
these are pro boxing matches, sanctioned
These
pro
are
boxing
sanctioned
matches.
pro boxing matches.
These on exhibitions.
Okay. What's he ranked at now?
I don't think he's ranked. He hasn't faced any. All the boxers that he faced besides Tommy Fury, McCann's, and MMA guys, all he's fought was Cans and MMA guys and Tommy Fury.
The thing about Jake, he's in a weird situation because not only is he doing it like these rounds like as entertainment, is also there's money behind it, right? So if he goes in the ranks and try to fight Mike from the Boston gym over here who's ranked 100, but no one knows who he is that fight going to sell? Is it going to make money? Like I think there's so much. It's different from Jake. It's not like he can just start from the bottom and he's made, I don't know how much money he's made, but I'm sure he's made money enough where, find the local guy or the guy that's ranked 100 where they're only making like maybe 2,000 a fight. It probably doesn't make any sense to do any of that, So I think he just got to keep doing what he's doing, make the money that he can. Because again, this is entertainment, this is money. And if, maybe, unfortunately, maybe if a guy that's going up the rank, he loses to these guys and he becomes popular and famous and he doesn't have a title, but he's been in rings with a lot of these guys as pros, and he goes and he transitioned to fight Jake. I think that's Jake's way to get into those conversations like that. I don't think he starts from the bottom. I think he has to go through someone that's probably took a couple L's but fought these good guys, and then they fight each other. And I think that'll help Jake's career.
Yeah, I think that route might be good for him to go if he's really serious about getting the title. What are your thoughts, Steve?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We're right, his skill level or caliber, but one thing, not every boxer has a camera following him, which means that he has viewership, came in with viewers. I mean, he can't go wrong. Actually, he's like, he stepped in the game with views on you, where usually you step in the game to try to get views on you. And I think that's the perk right there. Hell, he can fight anybody he wants to, as long as he still pulling in these numbers. I think everybody wanted him to fail. And I was asked the question, did you ask where should he fight? Who should he fight?
Yeah, or which route should he take? Still stick with the MMA guys, or if he's serious about getting that cruiserweight title, maybe try to fight somebody in the top 30 or so.
I say definitely he's going to have to step his game up, or it's just you're going to beat these people and say, oh, they're just MMA. You've been doing boxing. You're having people cross over when they don't even do this all day, every day. So I think pretty soon he's going to have to cross over into bigger names, or he can just sit there and make money and, not go above the hump of people taking him seriously.
Yeah,
well, I got one thing to ask you guys. He's fought a boxer and lost, right? The only time he's fought a real boxer, and he lost.
Yeah.
And that's the only one he's ever fought?
No, he's fought some other boxers, but they all been unknown, and he got them out of there and knocking them out.
Okay.
But they were cans. I hate to use that word because it's kind of derogatory, but they weren't known boxers. But he's faced other boxers before.
Offensively, he got it. I think he can be entertaining offensively. What I've seen from him, his defense is not up to par to some of these pros. That's what I look at when I see him fight. So if he does get in there, he's gonna have to work on that defense, especially on the top 30, because he doesn't really slippery. He's not too slippery. He's very offensively. He's going straight to you. He's trying to knock you out. And that's entertaining to us. But when it comes to the defensive side, he's not slipping punches. He's not carrying punches and coming back with another punch. So there's a lot of things that he needs to work on when he's talking about that top 30, because them guys is doing that. So that's what only worries me. But I think he can go to the top 100, start there, and just start picking away 180, 70, 60, and then when he gets that threshold 50, 40 type of competition, then we'll see what he really is about.
So I want to get his timeline straight because I thought he fought the boxers early on. So he faced a basketball player, like his second boxing match, his second pro, which is Nate Robinson. Then he faced a bunch of MMA guys, the Woodley twice, Silva, Ben Askren. Tommy Fury was the first boxer he faced, and he lost, but he faced Nate Diaz again for some reason. I don't even know that happened. We just talked about it. I was thinking of Nate Robinson. I remember the Nate Diaz fights, of course, but he fought two boxers after Nate Diaz, and he knocked them out. Andre August and Ryan Borland, but you don't know those guys. And then the Mike Perry fight. So he's faced 3 boxers total and lost to 1.
I'll tell you
Fury is not even ranked at all, right?
Nah, Fury is not ranked. But he's been boxing his whole life. He's like a boxer. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. You said those 2 fighters before Mike Perry. I had no clue.
Yeah, it was one what happened at the end of last year, and one happening back in March.
See, I don't even recall him having a fight.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Paul, he fights. That's one thing that you don't miss. It's not like he misses fighting out the year. Like he's fighting out the year. He's getting the rounds in. He's getting better. He definitely is way better than when he fought Nate Robinson to now. Again, offensively, it's okay. I'm not mad at the offense. It's just the defense. I'm gonna get worried when he starts that top 40 competition might be a little different, So we'll see. He got a chance though. He got a chance. Now winning a title,
that's hard.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm not saying he can't do it. He's a punch away from doing it, but we'll see.
And the cruiserweight is not the most deepest, glamorous division anyway. So if he wants to do it, I think that's the perfect division for him to try to do it at. I don't know if he's big enough to see those heavyweight problems.
Yeah. I don't know. Even at cruiserweight, them boys is big though too.
Yeah, they big. Yeah, they big. They got this is the one where a lot of those Eastern European and they punch hard. So he's gonna have to really dedicate himself to it. But it's gonna be interesting seeing his journey that he goes on with that. But let's talk about some real fights, fellas. Back on June 29th, Teofimo Lopez defeated Steve Cloget by unanimous decision to retain the WBO and the ring light welterweight titles. And this was just routine work. Teofimo is one of my favorite fighters. I thought he was going to get the guy out of there, but kind of like a sparring session. He did what he needed to do. He looked good in there. What were your thoughts on this one, Chris?
He looked good fighting off his back foot.
Yeah.
He looked really good fighting off his back foot. The guy was more pressured. He was coming forward. And, even when someone's coming forward, to look like you're dominating the person that's pushing the fight was impressive to me. Because it didn't seem like he was the more aggressive. It seemed like his opponent was more aggressive than him, but he just looked bigger and stronger than him. He was fighting off his back foot, pushing him away, punching him up. His punches, I was watching it with my wife, and my wife was even watching the fight like, wow. He looked way bigger than him. Like, this guy don't have a chance. And he did. He looked awesome. He looked good. Off his back foot, he looked great.
What are your thoughts, Steve?
For real, I didn't get to see this fight, just the highlights. I don't think I can comment on this fight because I didn't see it enough of it.
So, Steve, like you said, he looked good fighting on his back foot. In this division, you got a lot of people that went up who were fighting in that lightweight. You have Devin Haney in there. You think that fight might get named next?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to ask what weight class again they're in.
They're in 140. That's the junior welterweight.
Yeah.
Could that be close to Gervonta?
Yeah. Gervonta's still at 135, but I'm sure he's going to go up there one day.
Okay. So that gives you a parameter like what the caliber of fighters or what. Yeah. Is it? You said Haney or Wood an option for?
And Ryan fights up there now too, but he's suspended.
Okay. Well, considering that, I could say, and he beat, and which one won the match? Teofimo Lopez or Steve Claggett?
Teofimo won.
Okay.
Every round, pretty much, besides like one or two.
Yeah.
Like it was that he dominated that. He dominated. Even though the guy, his opponent, actually was coming forward, throwing punches, he just looked small. He looked like he couldn't really. His power punches wasn't as strong as I can't say it. What's his name?
Teofimo?
Yeah, his power punches were just solid. Like he was fighting off his back foot, power punches after power punch after power punch after power punch, and he was just stopping them, switching directions, going to another side. It was impressive watching him fight off his back foot, especially when someone's coming forward with you and you're just on the back and you're just hitting them with everything you got, and he's stinging them, not like 1-2 punches. He was hitting them with combinations on that back foot. It was looking good. Like I thought he was gonna get him out of there. But the guy was tough.
So too. Yeah,
Tough. The guy was tough. He was coming forward. He was tough.
I thought so too. For what I think Teofimo, nobody's gonna be able to touch him. Like if he got the Haney fight, I think he gets Haney out of there. To be honest with you.
He looked good. He looked strong. He looked big. Had 1-4. He looked good.
For sure. So we'll see what happens with Teofimo. But another guy, he fights in the same division as Tank Davis, but now we had Shakur Stevenson back on July 6th, defeating Artem Arutunian by unanimous decision. I mean, I think a lot of people were complaining about this one, but I think it is what it is. Shakur is a master defensive boxer. So it wasn't firework, but he did it and went and did Shakur things in the fight. He did what he needed to do to get the win, and he was able to retain that WBC lightweight title. What do you thought about this one, Chris?
Again, like you said, he did what he needed to do to win the fight, but on his level, you want to see him start knocking out people, unfortunately, because his peers are. His peers are knocking out people. His peers are putting people to the floor. In the way he talks and the way he talks to his peers, he believes he's on their level. But on the eye test as a fan, we don't see it like that. I'm not saying he's not good. I think he's going to be a tough matchup for all his peers. Like, I don't even think his peers even really want to fight him because they might get in a show where they might have to not chase him around, but his defense is slippery. So he's a tough fight. He's going to be a tough fight, but I feel like he's going to have to draw more attention on putting his opponents out of here or just dominating the fight. He don't really have to knock him out or nothing. He just got to dominate the fight more. I think he needs to throw more punches. He's coming to look like what AB would have stayed like if he was still at 135 instead of moving up.
Yeah.
When AB moved up, that's when we started seeing like, hey, he's not really throwing a lot. But when he was down there, he was throwing like just like that. But he was able to knock those 135ers out. So if he don't continue doing that, it's going to be more like he's not throwing enough punches.
Yeah. So let's get into a little bit of the after fight shenanigans as far as the online stuff. Your boy Killer Cam and Murder Mace, they were like during the fight, they were getting pillows and acting like they were falling asleep, and they were going back and forth. I think Cam was saying that he gonna pull out the strap or something. He's not gonna try to box with him or something crazy like that. What were your thoughts on like the blowback afterwards? People were like getting on Shakur a little bit. What were your thoughts on that, Chris?
Well, it wasn't just them. It was a lot of people. It was everybody that kind of watching it. I'm surprised they took the heat of it. They got a little. Again, I don't want to get into their business because they got real personal. Got other people involved. It could be a serious situation over there. So I don't really want to get too involved with it. But we all felt the same way. I mean, even his own camp. Even in a fight, his own coach is telling him, "Hey, pick it up. You can knock him out. You can do X, Y, and Z." He's not even paying attention. He's not even listening to him. So when we see it like that, when your own coach is telling you what to do, and we're watching it live, and you're not doing it, it hits different. I think that's what hit it really different. We watch his coach in the corner telling him what to do, how to execute this guy, how to get him out of here, and he's refusing to do it. So it looks different.
So I think people want to see him go against Tank next. How do you think that will go down? Because, like I said, Shakur is a master at defense, almost Mayweather-like. He hits and doesn't get hit. He's in there bobbing, weaving, and like I said, it's masterful. But Tank. You could hit Tank, but you're gonna get hit back. So if that were to happen, how you see that going down? I'll start for you, Chris.
The problem with Tank, he's gonna lose the first 4 rounds, maybe definitely the first 3. But the problem with Tank in this match, that's gonna hurt him because I don't know if he's gonna get those rounds back. Tank got to fight him. He's gonna have to be super aggressive because Tank's not aggressive in the beginning. Tank's gonna have to turn up, be aggressive early, and try to get to him because this guy's, I hate to say, he's gonna be in his back foot, but he's not gonna be throwing off that back foot. He's gonna keep pushing the jab, moving around, and Tank is the person that sets up shit where he's fighting off your aggressiveness. So it's gonna be interesting to see that, but it'll look like a sparring match to me. I don't even think Tank would be able to hit him and knock him out because the guy was gonna be on his back foot the whole match, jabbing away.
Steve?
Yeah, I think definitely Tank would win because from what I'm seeing about him, what people are saying, doesn't have punching power as some of the other people in his class, and I think what we saw at Gervonta's fight, he got hit pretty good by that dude before he knocked him out. A few times. He even had a little shiner on his eye. I think Gervonta will take one of those Shakur punches. You know what I'm saying? If he's just defensively, aware, I believe he can take one of those punches to give one. And I think Gervonta is the more devastating knockout artist. So I would be leaning more towards Gervonta. And it's not like Gervonta doesn't have defensive skills for where he needs it, counter pull or stuff like that he does amazingly, or that uppercut he has. I would lean more towards that and just throw it out there, just seeing there's things that probably have to be perfected more than Gervonta because like Floyd said that he doesn't put his hands up sometimes after his punches or jabs. And then I looked for that in the highlights, and I saw sometimes he doesn't get his hand up quick. And that can be devastating with fighting Gervonta.
I'm with Chris. Chris, you mentioned that he gives away rounds. Like he said, he gives away 2, 3, 4 rounds. That can work until it doesn't work. Like you try to put your feet on the gas and try to just get him out of there later on because your luck will just run out. Like sometimes you just can't get the finish. I think that's a dangerous game if he were to face Shakur Stevenson because Shakur Stevenson does a good job of not getting hit. So I don't know how that fight would go down. I don't know. That'd be a good fight to see.
Yeah.
Offense versus defense.
Well, the problem with Tank, like I always tell everybody, he's mostly, if he don't knock these guys out, he might lose these matches. Because he's losing most of the fight. But then he catches them and is like Ryan, he was losing most of the fight. The guy before Ryan, I forgot his name, he was losing most of that fight. That's why these guys talk crazy to Tank and they feel like they can beat Tank if they never got hit with that punch because 8 out of 10 of them will win that whole fight until they got hit. But that's the problem with Tank. Once he hits you, fight's over. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we're going. But it can hurt Tank like with a guy like him because this guy, it's hard to hit him. He's going to be on his back foot the whole night, jabbing away. And Tank's going to be giving up these rounds, and he's hoping that he's going to knock him with a one punch, hit a quitter. Might be hard to get it. He might lose it like that. It'll be this is a sparring match for us, and people are going to be upset because there's no fighting.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. So they got some matchmaking they could do on there, on there that at 135. Yeah, I'm curious to see how they do the matchmaking because lately they haven't been like putting off the big fights. They just been making them. So hopefully we can see that fight get done soon. But fellas, let's move on to the ladies and the rest of the quick hits. One we was talking about earlier, Amanda Serrano defeating Stevie Morgan. This was on the undercard of the Jake Paul fight. And I've never seen Amanda be this aggressive from the get-go. She was all in her face. She put the pressure on her. was just whap, 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 like you said, throwing power punches in there. And in the second round, she got her out of there, standing in TKO. I was very impressed with this one. What were your thoughts on this one, Chris?
It's what I've seen in real life is what I've seen all the time from her. Even the loss she took recently, I think a year ago or so. She still was just like, it was this amazing fight. This girl, she's an amazing fighter. She's one of the top fighters out there. She can throw punches, she can play defense, she can move. She does multiple sports too. It's not just boxing, isn't she?
Yeah, MMA.
Yeah, this girl's a warrior, so she's tough. She's tough. Impressive. I mean, second round. I mean, it's what she trained for.
Yeah. Short day in the office. What were your thoughts on this one, Steve?
Well, from what I'm seeing, it looked like she's walking her down the whole fight.
Yeah.
Every jab was a forward jab and moving forward. Pop, 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 going forward. Very aggressive. Almost on it's of course there's a difference in male and female boxing. I don't care, but she's looking like some of these dudes out here boxing and putting these combinations together. Like I'm looking at it right now, and a lot of females don't have that type of. She felt that she must have felt her in the fight to where she was just walking her down, knew that it was her night. It takes a confident person to walk down somebody like that, and I see what y'all saying, that she is a warrior. You don't see that intensity in woman fights that often that she displayed. And like I said, it was a good fight from what I'm looking at.
So, Chris, you think it's Katie Taylor rematch or bust at this point, I guess?
For her?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a buzz.
And I was saying that figuratively, like you think that's like the only match to really make next, or because she doesn't have anything else to prove. She's 36 now, so she could retire if she wanted to.
Yeah, she gonna keep going though. I've seen her and she gonna keep going. Yeah, she got a whole bunch of things. I think a rematch would be perfect for her because she lost that one, right? That's the one.
Yeah, she lost.
Yeah, rematch, and it wasn't like she got beat up that fight. I think times could change and things of that nature. But she don't have to go that direction. She could just keep winning and keep adding on to her legacy, keep adding more W's and keep fighting, keep fighting. She's very talented. I'm very impressed with her. Always have been. Before I even knew who her name was and seen her in the gym come in, you can feel the energy of her. You could just see it. Even if you're far away from her, you could just feel the energy. Like there's something over there. So to see it right now, at this, like right now she's not blew up out of nowhere, but now she's being recognized and being talked about on different networks and things of that nature. It's amazing to see. Definitely amazing to see.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that Katie Taylor rematch. Might be a different outcome. Katie Taylor's a little bit bigger, but still, like you said, it wasn't like she beat Serrano up a lot. So that's a rematch I'd definitely be interested in seeing. But let's move on to the next match with the ladies. This happened last weekend. Clarissa Shields versus Vanessa Lepage-Jones for the heavyweight. It was because WBC is interesting. Their heavyweight for women is 175, and the others are like the traditional. So it's for one heavyweight belt and the rest for light heavyweight belts. But Clarissa Shields went in there and did Clarissa Shields things, kind of like the Serrano fight. Clarissa Shields came out the gate and was just swinging. Like I never seen her this aggressive, and I think she knocked her down like 2 or 3 times, and the third time she knocked her down in the second round, she got her out of there. The ref stopped it. This was really impressive. What were your thoughts on this one, Chris?
So usually when I watch these fights, me and my wife would be like, "Would you go in that ring? How much would they have to pay you to get in that ring?" My wife watched that fight. She's like, "I don't want no smoke with that girl at all. You can't pay me enough. I don't want to get in that ring. She's way too big for me to be fighting." But it was just like you just said, it was a slaughterhouse, man. She was going there and trying to knock her head off, even though the other person was swinging though. Shout out. I don't know her. I never really watched the other fighter. She was in there swinging. She was in there throwing some punches as well, but she looked big. She was in there knocking. She was big. She was strong.
Steve?
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, this is another female that knows how to torque a punch. And you can see it in her punch where she's throwing them. certain females they know how to do it, and she's one of them. She's definitely powerful, and since you say she did the 170 heavyweight women's,
Yeah, this was 175, so it was for a couple. I think the WBO is light heavyweight for them, but it's heavyweight for like WBC. I'm probably mixing them up, but it's for light heavyweight / heavyweight.
Yeah, she's winning in dominant fashion as always. I don't see anybody really giving her a hard time unless somebody gets a 170 pounder that's maybe to challenge her adversity. Somebody tall, lanky, and maybe or else I think anybody her size, she's gonna take them out.
So even before this, she calls herself the self-appointed GOAT, greatest woman of all time. Did this cement it now that she has a title in another division? People got their arguments for Layla Ali. I think Layla Ali went undefeated, but does this cement Clarissa Shields is the greatest of all time, Chris?
She gotta get some more wins. What's her win total? I don't think it's that high.
She's 15-0.
Yeah, you gotta get some more wins. To have to yell all that out. I feel you gotta put some more wins on the board. For me, that's just how I look at it.
But you was talking about Serrano crossing over. Clarissa Shields also fights in the PFL. She's 2-1 in MMA so far. So
again, it's just the wins when you talk about greatest. And we look at our past of history on fighters that were the greatest, who we consider as greatest. They have a lot of fights. It's not like they have 1 or 2 fights. They fought everybody. They have a lot of fights. They didn't care. It's not like today. It wasn't more politic as it is today, and more all these belts. Hey, you got a belt. I got a belt. Let's fight. Or I want your belt. We fight in. This is what we're doing. The money will come later. It was all about that's the legacy of it. So I just feel right now we're losing some of that, but these fighters are fighting. And we gotta respect the people that are fighting. So I think she need to get her some more wins up. That's all before she starts yelling all that out.
So Layla Ali, she 24-0, and a lot of people say she's the greatest woman of all time. That's not a whole lot of fights.
That's at least 9 more.
That's true. That is 9 more.
Give me 30 if you I like to be over the 30 mark, especially in the women's sports. If you're looking at that, the men's a little different. I don't even know how we judge that one because some people got 100 and so fights, and we got Floyd at 50 fights. So that's really how we're gonna judge that. But the women, I would like to see over 30. I like to see over 30.
What do you think, Steve?
I think she can be that. It's definitely if she keeps on fighting. But I think a good female fighter, also to be known, has to have a good highlight reel. And one female boxer that I can't remember her damn name knocked that girl dead, that tall girl wearing the American shorts, gave her overhand right and knocked her dead to the floor. Starts starts with an A.
I'd have to think about it.
Look that up.
Yeah, she was a heavyweight. She was a heavyweight, and then she was going against a tall girl, and she threw that overhand right, and she started jumping and down, and I think it was significant in women's boxing. They have that highlight. I just can't remember what is her name. Let's see,
well, you could think it later and bring it back up, but we'll go on with your thoughts.
But definitely, I feel like you have to have some type of highlight reel, devastating knockout, and enough fights to be in the to be considered a GOAT. Ann Wolfe is her name. My bad.
Oh yeah. I know Ann Wolfe. I know Ann Wolfe.
What was her record, by the way? Is she undefeated?
I don't know. I have to go back and look. I don't think she's undefeated though.
I definitely remember her knockout.
So what's the record at over there? You said the highlights, you said the devastating knockouts, but what consider to be the record?
Ann Wolfe has only lost once though. So a lot of people have her high on their list as well.
Would you take away GOAT status for that? Of course, you have to give it to somebody who hasn't lost, but does that take away her?
I don't think it does. I think Floyd Mayweather put it in their mind where you couldn't lose to be the GOAT, because a lot of people still have Muhammad Ali as their GOAT, and he's lost what 5 times, 5 times or so. So I don't think that takes you out of the running. And even going to MMA, people look at wins and losses more than that. I say Amanda Nunes is the GOAT, and she lost like 4 times. So I don't think losses affects that. I think the wins matter more. Who you fighting? So
yeah, definitely. But for Clarissa Shields, I think a few more fights would do her better for her.
Legacy.
Yeah, legacy. Yeah.
Yeah, I like watching her fight. So whatever she wants to do next, I'm all for it. Fellas, let's get into the fight that happened this past weekend. Over in LA, it was ran by the guys who run the fights over in Saudi Arabia. I forgot what the name of the promotion is. Riyadh Season, I think it's called. And it happened over in LA, where the LA Football Club plays at, over in that stadium, the BMO Stadium. Terence Bud Crawford versus Israil. I heard them pronounce it 2 different ways. Sean Porter was calling him Madrimov, and Todd Grisham was calling him Madrimov, but I'm just going to say Madrimov. It went the distance. This is for the super welterweight championship. Terence Crawford was going up at the weight division, and the start of the fight, Terence Crawford switched immediately to the southpaw, which I'm like, okay, get kind of gauging them. And Amelia, with the first 3 rounds, they were both kind of like download information and figure each other out, and it was kind of like a chess match. And towards the end of round 4, Madrimov landed a big right hand, but you could tell Crawford was a little frustrated in those early rounds. And skipping to round 6, Crawford was landing some good body shots. But then if you look at round 8, the pace started picking up with both of the guys, and Madrimov started splitting Crawford's guard. But Crawford was throwing back shots in exchange, and towards the end of the round, Madrimov landed that big right hand and almost dropped Crawford. I thought Madrimov had a nice 9th round too. He was sticking and moving, and he also landed that big left hand that snapped Crawford's head back. And I'm like, all right, we're in a fight. And moving on to the championship rounds, I think that's when Crawford was kind of finding his groove. He turned it on towards the end of that 11th round and landed some big shots. And round 12 was a good back and forth with both guys landing shots, but I think Crawford was a little bit busier, and he was able to get that unanimous decision. And what were your thoughts on this one, Chris?
Just how you called it was my thoughts. It was a lot more competitive than I had it. Crawford seemed very frustrated, especially in the beginning to me watching him. I didn't think he was going to dominate, but I thought that he would be able to load up information faster and start dominating the fight and taking control over it, which didn't happen. It seemed like he was in there for a fight. He did enough to win the fight. How many rounds did he get out of it?
12.
No, how many rounds did he win?
I think one had it 112. I have to go back and look at that, but
it was close.
Yeah, it was close.
It was close. That's what I was trying to get to. It was very close. And it was a good win to have because he moved up. But it gets tougher when you keep going up. It gets tougher. I think Crawford started at 132, if I'm not mistaken. Now he's going up to heavyweight. What is it? Heavy.
It's super welterweight, 154.
You know what I'm saying? So 154. They get bigger and bigger, tougher and tougher. So his boxing skill is going to keep him there. I feel still that he's still kind of bigger than the opponent still, but the shots didn't look like that. Probably did, but the shots didn't look like that.
So one judge had it 116, 112, and the other 2 judges had it 115, 113. So
very close.
Very, very close. So, but all judges gave it to Crawford. So what were your thoughts on this one, Steve?
From what I was looking at, it was a very close fight. I usually scale, skills based off who's around, who are they calling out. I hear there's a lot of, they're considering a lot of Canelo talk or whatever. And from what I see, he went up in class. So I think since he fought the best of that weight class, it might be his peak as far as his weight. Because I was just thinking of is there possible talks if they've been trying to compare him and Canelo to fight?
So we'll get into that in a second.
Okay. I saw him as almost a comparison of, I guess Crawford did a good fight, but it's almost how Canelo went up in weight and kind of struggled with what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he couldn't take him out like his underclass, like he was lesser weight, and the game changed. And I guess I have to do more boxing studying, but is Canelo a higher weight class than he fought right now, or
what? Yeah, Canelo, his weight class that he's the best in, I think, is 168, which is super middleweight. But he's won the light heavyweight titles at 175. But I think he's a little bit undersized for 175. But I don't think Canelo will go back to 160. I think 168 is his perfect weight class.
I mean,
bread and butter, quote unquote.
Yeah, he fought at what? He started at 140, 147, then 54, then 60, then 68, then 17. He ain't going back. He ain't going back. He ain't going back down. The money had to be crazy for him to go back.
Oh yeah, he definitely ain't going no super welterweight. So if Crawford wants to get that fight, he'd have to go up
to like 160 at minimum.
Yeah, that's even pushing it. But yeah, at the minimum, it have to be 160 at middleweight.
Yeah, that's what I felt like it was. Or it kind of reminded me of a Canelo Golovkin situation. How they were fighting back and forth. I want Crawford to do good, but I do see that if isn't having a landslide like his past weight, I think he needs to get some sit down the draw board and see who to fight and work up your repertoire, your muscle or whatever to compete with these guys. Because I would like to see him destroy him like he did in his lower weight class.
Yeah, going back to what you said, Chris, I thought he would download the information a little bit quicker, and I thought later rounds he would just be too overwhelming for Madrimov and get him out there. But goes to show you back to what they always say is weight classes for a reason, and he didn't look as powerful as he did at 147 at his prior fight, where he just got Spence out of there. He got Errol Spence out of there. And I don't know, man. Like before the fight, they were talking about the super fight with him and Canelo, man. I don't think he want those Canelo problems. People kind of criticizing Canelo lately because he's been kind of ducking people, and we've talked about that before. But Canelo's still Canelo at the end of the day, and he just might be too big for Crawford. I think Crawford's going to reassess if he wants that fight now, because like I said, the weight class is for a reason, and those 5, 6, 7 pounds that he had to go up to super welterweight, he shows because Madrimov was in there, like he was stinging them, but he wasn't like you didn't see he was just completely outpowering them. So I don't know. What's your follow up on that, Chris?
Well, I think when you assess it as your Crawford, you look at Canelo, and you know what that can bring for you as a fighter. I feel like he thinks he's taller than Canelo. He has more of a reach than Canelo. And he thinks he might be a better boxer tech-wise, like skill-wise. Not a better boxer, period. But just skill-wise, he might be better because he can go lefty and he can go right-handed at any time. So he can switch up the game. So technically, you're looking at that as your fighter, like, I'm pretty bigger than him. I'm taller than him. I got more reach. I can switch sides on him. I can go left or righty on him at any time. So I can see why he wants to fight. But, looking at it, does that power that you have come up to that weight? But now we're not looking at 154, right? Because we were thinking that, but Canelo's not going to go there. So now we're asking him to jump up almost 3 weight classes from his power weight to fight Canelo. With 160, will he have that power to knock him out, or even to push him away or make him strong? I don't know. It almost feels like it would be like what we looked at it as in Mayweather versus Pacquiao, right? And then when we saw the fight, it seemed like Mayweather was way bigger than Pacquiao when the fight happened. He was pushing him away, did what he wanted to him, moved him in any way he wanted to. So I feel like that'll be the problem with Canelo. He'd just be able to, he'd be stronger than him, too big.
How about this? If the Canelo fight doesn't happen, don't you think like a perfect fight for him would be the Little Charlo, Jermell Charlo?
Yeah,
They got beef. They got
they
beef.
got beef. I feel if I'm Charlo, I'm taking a fight for sure. I feel like I'm bigger than him. Yeah, like there's levels to it. But yeah, I think I again Crawford got to be careful. He's playing with water right now. I feel like you want to jump up to 154 to say you want to fight these guys, but these guys are kind of big too up there. I don't know if that power transition up there. So it's interesting to see. You got to see more fights up there for him.
Man, I'm tripping, man. For some reason, I didn't think Bud Crawford was at 137 for that long, but he's been up there since 2018. Man, times fly. So I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I was thinking maybe there's some more work to do at 147, but he's been fighting there for a while. But I don't know, man. It's those 6 extra pounds and whatnot. I don't know. I think I don't know if his power translates up there
because he was cleaning house at 130.
Yeah.
And then he came up at 140 cleaning house, and then that's when he got the fights at 147. But he kind of once he got the Crawford, what is his name?
Sean Porter. He fought Sean Porter.
Yeah, he fought Sean Porter, but once he got past Sean Porter, then he fought what's
Earl Spence.
Spence, there's nothing there. What's that 147?
Yeah. And the Little Charlo, he fights at 160, I want to say. So maybe I don't know that'd still be interesting to see him jump up another 6 pounds. Crawford, but you think he could beat Charlo though, because Charlo's good, but like he's not no Canelo.
True, but you're going up in weight. You gotta respect the weight classes. That's what we've been saying all the time. You gotta respect it. Don't come up that way.
Yeah,
Crawford would need to catch weight. He would need to drain him out. Like he almost had fighting Crawford going up is almost like someone fighting Tank. You just can't go in there fighting Tank and think you're gonna be 150 or 160 the next day. You're not gonna do that. He's gonna fight you. You're gonna probably be at like maybe 5 to 10 more pounds heavier. This you just can't go up too heavy on these guys. It's not a free fall.
Yeah. So like you said, like we were saying this whole time, it's weight classes for a reason. But at the end of the day, he still won the belt out there at 154. So I'm sure they're gonna make him relinquish the belts at 147. And when you see fighters go up in weight, you don't really see them go back down in weight. So you just might have to just sometimes having the first fight up there, you're feeling the new weight, and you gotta get a feeling out that with the first fight. So maybe he fights at 154 again, and it keeps doing Crawford things. You think that might be a factor, just it being his first fight at 154, Chris?
Yeah, I think he's gonna continue up there. Like you said, once they go up, they don't come back down. It's hard to get yourself back down to 140 or 147 when you just didn't have to your last fight. So then to keep going up, and eventually he might get to 160. But right now he's a champ, so respect to him, and let's see some good fights from him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with him. But before we get on out of here, there's a fight happening on the 21st of next month. The former heavyweight champion, former unified champion, Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. I think this is happening over in Wembley Stadium in front of 50, 60,000 people, which is going to be impressive. So Joshua, that's going to be my pick for this one. I think Joshua's going to get in there and get the win. Daniel Dubois is no chump, though. He went in there and fought Usyk. Like, he was looking good in that fight. I remember watching that fight, and he was looking competitive in the first round, but Usyk got him out of there. Then he beat up Big Baby Miller, and then he had another fight recently. I can't remember the guy he fought, but he's gotten 2 wins since he lost to Usyk. But I think Joshua goes in there and gets the win. Chris, you think Joshua just needs to go in there and just do Joshua things because he just beat Ngannou in an uncompetitive fight. We saw what happened to Ngannou. Face flat line.
Nah, Joshua's gonna do what Joshua does. I think he's gonna get if he doesn't knock him out, and if he does get a knockout, it's probably gonna be in the 10th round. But for the most part, I think Joshua he'll download the information by round 2 and then start, out jabbing him, out pacing him, and pull away from the fight.
So are y'all two taking Joshua as well to get this one?
I am, yeah. I feel like I'm going for him because he's off a fresh win, off his Usyk losses. I think that's how it went.
Yeah, and then
chronologically. So keep his name fresh. You got the one off Ngannou. It was for what it was. Your name's out there, and possibly like people that would never watch boxing who watched Ngannou. You might have extra eyes on you. So you got to keep your name ringing because that's what about that fight did for him. And I think he'll come in with good confidence just based off of, he's picking his confidence back up.
Yeah, for sure. So once that fight happens and we'll see the results and then we'll see what Joshua might do next after that because but Joshua's 35, man. The clock's ticking. Like some of these heavyweights where we were like, it's the new wave. Like they're getting up old and they're around our age. It's time's flying, man. You got Fury, but Wilder, I don't even know if he's still fighting anymore after his loss. He got flatlined, KO'd. So it's time for that next generation to probably start coming in with these Gen Zers, man. It's their time. So we'll see, but. That'll bring us to the end of the show, and we'll be back next month with another boxing episode. We'll do some quick hits for the fights happening in between then, and make sure to follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. But that'll do it for us here at Haymaker Combat Sports. Until next time, be safe out there. Later.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars, cause it's live.